Hi, I'm Brian.
And I'm Bruce.
And this is Just Beneath the Surface. It's been a long time since we did one of these, Bruce. It's been like a year. I don't even remember which episode this is. Is it 11, 12, 13? I don't know.
It can't be 13 because that'd be good luck because it's either 11 or 12. But,
why has it taken us so long to get back to one of these, Bruce? It's been like a year.
Well, if you want me to be truthful about it, my partner here, Brian, he's like a traveling man. He goes all over the place. He has a blog called 6 Feet Under, which you should check out. Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
He looks at celebrity graves and all that, and he's going to museums, the Grave Face Museum and all that sort of
stuff.
One.
He's Bible on Walk down in Ohio. Go check it out.
Check out the shirt. And then all the time he's doing that, I'm sitting in the basement with a can of Sterno and a thing of beans. But and a bottle of Jack Daniels. But that's it.
You're retired. You should be planning these things.
Well, then I get another bottle of Jack.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
It's so I think so. But that's why. Since you're always busy.
Okay, blame it on me. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
But since it's been a while, perhaps we should remind the audience what the show is.
The show is about Rod Serling's Twilight Zone from 1959 to 1964, as I recall.
The best iteration of the series ever.
By far. None. By far. Definitely the ones after that.
Leaps and bounds.
Right. He had a pretty good night gallery after it, which wasn't too bad. But I mean, the best one was the original ones, and we're a tribute to Rod Serling and his writers, Buck Houghton, and all the guys who wrote for him.
What we wanted to do, because we noticed that a lot of the themes of those episodes back in the 50s and 60s have stayed true, even now, the 70s, 80s, 90s, into the 2000s.
Yeah, and that's what the Serlings and those guys, the writers, of their insight into the society, into social things, and are still applicable today. And we want to cover one of those applicable areas.
And there's one here that we think is very applicable to today's society. Which it's an episode that often doesn't make anyone's best of or top 10 list, but we think it's one of the best of the
It's a crime. It's a crime against humanity.
And it stars Burgess Meredith. But before you go jumping to conclusions, it's
time enough at last.
It's not that one. No.
No?
That's what everyone...
Okay, it's Mr. Dingle the Strong.
It's not Mr. Dingle the Strong.
If you like Mr. Dingle...
And it's not Printer's Devil either. We don't talk about the
very
fourth
good.
season here.
Look at you.
Yes.
Pulling that right out of your...
Four episodes.
I forgot that one.
His best...
That's an hour-long series, by the way.
We don't watch that one yet.
Okay.
But no, his best episode is, without a doubt, 1962's...
The Obsolete Man.
Yes, and Bruce, give us a rundown. What's the plot of the episode?
Obsolete. Burgess Meredith plays Rodney Wordsworth. Get it? Wordsworth. Who's in it?
What's his profession?
He's a librarian.
Wordsworth, the librarian.
And in this society, maybe this society will become, the state controls it. And everybody has to think the same.
The state has proven that there is no God.
You can't erase God with an edict.
You cannot erase God with an edict.
But anyway, Rodney is brought before the tribunal, and a great acting job by the Chancellor, Fritz Weaver.
The late Chancellor.
Don't give it away!
I'm quoting Serling here.
Fritz Weaver, or I forget his name in the thing, but...
And he was in a great episode of The Love Boat, by the way. Go check it out.
He was also in the Twilight Zone episode, Third Planet from the Sun.
I forgot about that. He was.
Yeah.
He was.
And he plays a good guy in that one when he takes off.
He had a broad range.
He had a broad range. He had a broad. Yeah. And let me tell you, that's like this guy. Remember? He says that joke at the end, Jerry. I'll tell you about a broad. It is on a broad street. No. Okay. So Rodney Wordsworth is getting tried. And because he's a librarian, and because in this state, they no longer have books.
They don't have libraries, no books. And the state tells you right from wrong, what's fact and what's fiction.
I was getting there, but okay.
Well, I got to move it along. People are bored already.
Sorry about that. It's his fault again. But so he gets determined to be obsolete.
Well, he doesn't want to be obsolete.
But he is.
But they rule him obsolete.
The state rules him obsolete, so he has a choice with that. Within 48 hours, he has to be terminated, which...
Liquidated.
Yeah, which, who knows, pretty soon they might start liquidating people in 2024 or something. But in any event, he's going to get liquidated in 40 hours, so he has to choose how he's going to be liquidated. But the point of that thing is, since he does something that the state doesn't approve of, or the people in charge, the people in authority don't approve of, they got to get rid of him.
Right.
And in today's society, what do?
You get canceled.
The cancel culture. And we're not talking about, a man with no conviction, and I don't know how to say it because it's a big contradiction, Karma Camellia, whatever that song is. Remember Culture Club?
I do remember, yes.
See, it's not that one.
Yeah.
It's the other cancel culture,
right,
which kind of says, hey, if you're doing something that I don't like, or I don't believe in, or I want you to change, or I'm going to take you off the TV. I'm going to take you off the Facebook. I'm going to take you off Twitter. I'm going to bury you so you can't make a living. I'm going to do all this sort of stuff.
You have banks today who say, we don't want to give loans to these organizations because we don't agree with their policies.
Hold it.
We have individual clients here in our bank whose politics we know about and we don't like them. So
hold on.
We're going to cancel their accounts here.
Give me one example of that.
Well, I can't off the top of my head, but
I can.
Yeah.
It was in New York State where they were going to cancel banks that were dealing with the National Rifle Association, the NRA. And why? Because the people that ran New York State, I guess, whoever that is, didn't like the NRA politics. And it's the same thing in Obsolete Man.
Yeah.
They're going to try and do something, hurt you, get you down, eliminate you, liquidate you. Because you don't have the same politics as them. And I don't think it's a good thing.
Believe it or not, folks, we actually do rehearse this show. And Bruce, you brought up a very good point during rehearsal when you said that they had the term undesirables. And that was something that they use a lot of in this episode.
Right.
The Chancellor refers to people who are obsolete as the undesirables.
Getting rid of the undesirables.
And what was the modern day term?
Deplorables.
Deplorables.
Now, where have you heard that term before? I don't know. Well, I do know. But do you know?
Yeah.
Do you know?
If you're somebody that the state doesn't approve of or who disagrees with the state, then obviously you're a deplorable.
Right. And then you get liquidated.
Liquidated, yep.
So that's how it goes. And there's examples of that. And I don't know if you can give the audience any examples of this sort of like cancel culture or what's happening today. I have a couple.
Well, you've got independent fact checkers on Facebook who, if you post something that it could even be a joke, and they'll have an independent fact checker say, "Oh, we've determined that this is incorrect, and that you're off Facebook for a month because of this."
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's a thing. Yeah.
Is that so? Give me what type of? Well, can I make a joke about
could even be
Biden or Trump or Harris or whatever?
Just a few days ago, a good friend of mine posted a meme. It was a joke. It was a
meme is a joke.
It was a meme. It was a picture of Hulk Hogan, and the joke was that.
Hold it. He did that at the campaign, didn't he?
He did.
In Chicago, I don't know where was it?
But no, it was a picture of Hulk Hogan, and it was saying that scientists have concluded this is what, I forget who it was. I think it was like Moses or something. Now, it's clearly a joke. It's clearly a joke.
Say again what the joke was?
It was a picture of Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
And the thing was, scientists have determined that this is exactly what Moses looked like. I forget who the person was.
Oh, they're saying...
But Facebook had to fact check it and say, no, this is not true.
What?
Yeah, because Facebook has no sense of humor. They didn't realize, this is actually
that happens all the time.
Yeah, but he got fact checked on that.
And
sent to Facebook prison for 3 days. For posting a meme.
And probably a meme that didn't agree with who's the person that runs Facebook?
Oh, Mark Zuckerberg.
Zuckerberg probably didn't agree with his politics, right? Right, Mr. Zuckerberg? Mm-hmm. Come on our show and try and debate us, right?
That would be a badass.
You will be obsolete, and we will soon liquidate you. But do you have any others?
No, moving on.
Well, I'd say on the other, I think they've been doing this like forever, all the way back to the Twilight Zone episode of The Obsolete Man. Back then, the cancel culture was just something somebody coined. I think it came out of a NFL football game or somewhere where they get it. But I mean, before that, it was called what? Boycotting. And before that, what was it called? I forget because I wasn't into all that stuff. But it's always been around where if you don't like something, well, I'm not going to patronize that store. I'm not going to do this or I'm not going to do that. And it has happened. It has happened. I mean, on the other side, or if there is another side, I think wasn't it Budweiser that got nailed?
They got boycotted,
for a commercial with a trans person?
You're talking about Dylan something or other. Yeah, that was about a year or so ago.
And a lot of the patrons said, hold it. And I think it was also... Now, I don't know if you wanted to say whether that's right or wrong, but I think people have a right to say, well, if you're going to do that, I don't have to buy your product.
Sure, that happens on both sides.
That's not stopping you from trying to, I don't think it's stopping you from making a living and all that sort of stuff. Same thing I think happened with Disney. that they did something, which I wasn't crazy about, but which was sort of like, when the Fritz Weaver is up there, you have no God, where
the state has proven it.
The state has proven it, where Disney was saying that, hey, white people created all the problems in life, and you have a video on it saying that. Now I don't think I did it per se, and I think what they're doing is the same thing that they accuse us of doing, is like, just because maybe a few white people back then, that all white people are guilty and all that, and so now we're going to put, and it's like, now I don't know if that's cancel culture, but it kind of gets into, because I think Disney lost a lot of patronage. Because of that.
But in the Twilight Zone, they have it's all black and white, very definitive. Like the state will say, we've proven that there's no God. Right. That's the end of it. End of discussion.
But that's how they all go, though.
But similarly today, we will say, the science is settled, or the debate is over. Right. We're not going to talk about this anymore, because 97% of all of Earth's scientists agree that we're the cause of global warming and that it's a real thing.
Right, and I think there should be a voice for dissent, or whatever. Just like when the vaccine came out.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people, some doctors, and some of my friends sent me something that said, hey, vaccine isn't the coolest thing. I never had the vaccine.
He's had his 17th booster this morning. Just this morning.
Yeah, but it wasn't COVID shot. It was something else that, the old Rodney joke. Remember the old Rodney joke? What was it? It's like, I don't like cocaine, I just like the way it smells.
I had not heard that, actually.
You had not heard that?
No.
I told you that 1,000 times. And that's how many times I did it yesterday.
Well, okay.
And it's still kicking in, thank God. But no, I didn't, in case there's any narcs out there. Or DEA. I used to have a DEA friend, but that's enough. Where was I? Where were you?
We were talking about the Twilight Zone.
Yeah,
very broadly. Go ahead.
The Twilight Zone. And honest to God, my train went off the tracks just now.
Yeah. Well, the Chancellor he's a very strict man. He's got like I say, he's got black and whites. There's no gray with this guy.
Right.
And the episode, Rodney Wordsworth is to be liquidated.
I'm back there.
And he decides to kind of like turn the tables on the Chancellor.
Yeah, and I'll pick that up in 2 seconds.
Do it.
But the little train is chugging now again.
Yeah.
But anyway, now it just fell off again.
Okay.
So, look at that.
So he invites the
Look at that, just like that, off a cliff.
The Chancellor gives Romney the option of how he's to be liquidated.
Right, that is true.
Liquidated is a very sanitary term, and we do use a lot of sanitary terms.
They don't use murder or kill or bludgeon to death.
It's it's an embryo. It's not a person. We use very distinctive terms.
You doing genetics on me now?
Exactly.
Okay, good.
But no, he decides that he's going to have a liquidator come to his house, and we the audience don't know yet what the liquidation method will be, and that's to be revealed in Act 2.
Right.
And then we're going to find out at the same time the Chancellor finds out.
Oh, that's right. And
the late Chancellor.
In part 2 of this episode, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. But I was going to say about the COVID thing, that people who were against the COVID shots and saying it wasn't necessary and you shouldn't shut down every business and you shouldn't have all these masks and all, they were like taken off Facebook.
Yes.
They were shut down. They weren't allowed to do the free speech just because they disagreed. Just like Romney Wordsworth he was doing something. He was a librarian, which that's wrong.
They went against Fauci.
They went against Fauci. They went against the state.
They went against the state.
And because of that,
we're
they weren't giving
silence you. Your dissent. There's no dissent.
And how to get in this day and age? How does that happen? How do the people in authority get it? I mean, at least a peon like me and a great guy like this. If we were running, we can't get our word out there. But someone like Fauci or they say everybody hears it. Everybody, but I think that was wrong to stop those people from talking.
Exactly.
Stop those people. I mean, they even had a thing with it. I'll go really quick.
Yeah.
Eric Clapton got the first. Eric Clapton. He got the first shot. And he said after that he couldn't play. And since I try to play a little, just a little dueling banjos to be at his wedding, by the way, dueling banjos.
And
come see it.
How many honorable servicemen were discharged from the service?
Right.
Because
my God.
they
Good
refused
point.
to get the shot. And now today, a lot of them are suing. They've come back, and a lot of them have won.
And they should. But the sad fact is that you have to go to that point to sue, that somebody can do something bad to you, and a lot of people go, well, I'll just take it and go on my way. And I'm not going to go through the suing and hire a lawyer for $100,000.
And now we're backtracking. Now we're backtracking and saying, oh, it wasn't really all that effective anyway.
It's like, it's made, and it's just what Serling and I think Houghton wrote that episode, The Obsolete Man. They were saying that it's going to be, it could be, probably not, a society where if you start disagreeing with the majority or disagreeing with the people in power, we're going to liquidate you. Maybe not liquidate you, but who knows? Maybe we'll come to that point.
We'll cancel you, and we'll make sure that you can't ever have a job.
Right. Which is right. Wasn't it with the federal government?
The federal government, yeah.
That if you didn't get the COVID shot, you couldn't be in the federal government. Wasn't that it?
Oh, yeah, that was true, yes. A lot of federal employees were required to get the shots, yes.
And it's like, how does that happen? It's like,
the state decided it. The state mandated it.
Yeah, I mean, and not to go on their side, I think there's only one instance, like back in the 1870s with the Black Plague or something, where the government came in and said, everybody's got to get a shot. Whatever. But I mean, now that you said, and it's true, COVID wasn't all this stuff, and it's crazy. So, shows like the Obsolete Man, Rod Serling, and those guys, I think they
had a lot of foresight.
A lot of foresight, and it applies today, and sadly, it applies today.
How did we come 60 years from that episode, and we finally realized it? We finally reached that state. Wasn't this a warning? Shouldn't it have prevented all this? Because
Serling does a great thing. That show was very popular, but he showed unpopular things, sort of like what our show is about. And that's why I do it just beneath the surface. Because what do people do with things they don't want to talk about? They put it just beneath the surface because they don't want. So he talked about it.
You've got popular like the Twilight Zone, and you've got unpopular like just beneath the surface. There's a correlation.
Yeah, but you guys in Singapore send us cards and letters.
Yeah.
We're #1 in Singapore.
We couldn't do it without you.
Thank you. We appreciate it. We'll come there and do a show in person. Is that okay, Mr. Producer Man? He just gave us the 2 thumbs up. But the Obsolete Man was a good example of what continues to happen today.
It's a warning. It's a warning for societies that sadly we didn't listen to.
But and why don't we listen to it, or why doesn't it happen? And why do these things keep happening? They're happening today, probably right now. And people like myself and Brian, what can we do about that?
Well, that's why we have Just Beneath the Surface. We relate old themes from the Twilight Zone to modern day situations.
That's right. That's why we should go. What's that stuff about subscribing and should be shooting?
I was going to get to that at the end.
Okay, so good at the end. Yes. Just tell them how it ends. Do we tell them how the episode ends?
Well, the episode ends. The device, or the method, I should say, that Mr. Wordsworth chose for his liquidation was a bomb. And the Chancellor realizes this, far too late after he's been locked in.
Yeah, because he locks the Chancellor in the room with him.
Yes.
And now they're going to see who's the better man, who can
You're cheating the audience. Face the camera.
Face the camera. That's right.
We hear that refrain often in the final scene because Mr. Wordsworth has turned the tables on the Chancellor, the late Chancellor.
Which would have been beautiful if you could do that in real life, because, turn the tables on those COVID guys or Fauci or somebody and just make them say, okay, now you're in this position, you're trying to put us in. Now you're in the minority.
Well,
now, we don't want to be.
I think that's going to happen next January.
Oh.
Yeah.
What happens then?
Yeah, anyway.
Okay.
So.
I know.
Moving on.
But, so he lets the Chancellor out. What does the Chancellor say at the very end?
For the love of God, let me out!
He is good, isn't he? This guy should. Oh, if anybody else is out there with Survivor, get him on the show, because he should be there, right?
I should, yeah, definitely.
He's a great guy. One more time for the audience.
Just a little perspective. At the beginning, the Chancellor has told us repeatedly that there is no God. The state has proved it. But in that moment when the Chancellor thinks this is it, he's going to die,
right,
for the love of God, let me out!
I could stay here all night and listen to that. Because it's showing the clock like 30 seconds, 29, 28, and he's finally getting...
to that point, why does it take the Chancellor to the last 10 seconds to say, for the love of God, let me out? Why didn't he say it 5 minutes before?
It's like heroin. Not that I've ever done heroin, but, it's like you got to...
But a man of God that he is, Burgess Meredith's character, Mr. Wordsworth, he decides... Yes, Chancellor, in the name of God, I will let you out.
Right, the Chancellor just defeated his own thing with the state, said there is no God. Now he said he's pleading to God. So at the end, they make the Chancellor what?
Obsolete. So in that act of begging for his own life and admitting that there is a God, he's proven his obsolescence
right.
to the state.
And Rodney Wordsworth proves out to be the better man because he stood up for what he believed in and was willing to die for it and did die for it.
And he spends his final moments doing what?
Reading the Bible.
Reading the Bible.
God bless him.
The most cherished item.
God
the thing
bless.
He's had to hide it for 20 years because it's punishable by death.
Right. And let's hope we never get to that point or some crazy thing like that. That's just our opinion, but it's probably the right one, I guess.
Well, I think we're going to have to wrap this up, Bruce. We've taken enough time from our
So we don't have a second part of this one.
No.
Oh, then I think we did a good job.
I think we did. But what we want to do is we want to encourage everyone out there, if you like this episode, if you like Just Beneath the Surface, we want you to continue to watch this and subscribe. All you got to do is there's a button right down. You see click. Our producer will put it in there. I can't see it right now in front of me, but I'm told
subscribe
it'll
and what's your like?
We want you to hit the like button. And like, subscribe.
Mystic Seer says it too.
Notify. That's the other. Thank you, Mr. Producer, who's off camera.
And Jerry says it too. It's Jerry, right?
I told you we rehearsed this, and yet certain things we still don't remember.
Okay.
But anyway, until the next episode, which will probably be a year or two from now.
I'm Bruce.
And I'm Brian.
And we're just beneath the surface.